Hi everybody, this is Dr. Lasky, and I have gone through everybody's lit reviews. I've skimmed them all, and one of the things I saw consistently across them was folks were having difficulty either, number one, identifying the key themes across the articles, or two, structuring those last two or one or two paragraphs in which you were asked to synthesize the key findings across the articles. So this video and these resources that we're walking through today are designed to address those learning needs. So I'm hoping this is a scaffold that can make more explicit how to go from identifying the themes to actually writing that last paragraph. I think the one thing I would like to draw to your attention here is that identifying themes or trends across different sources of data, it's a skill that you guys use in your everyday life and in your professional life, but largely in a different way. So for example, if you're doing some comparative shopping online and you're going to identify the trends in, say, a new washing machine. So you'll go to several different sources, Lowe's, Sears, wherever you're going to go, and you're going to see who's got the most reasonable price, and you'll keep track of that information, and that becomes your trend, is the cost of the machines across different vendors. In your classrooms, you guys use this skill all the time when you do your summative analysis of kids' learning gaps in your classrooms. And when you look, say, at their classroom behavior, so say you've got one particular student who is having trouble with place value, you're going to pay really close attention to how he or she responds to your questioning strategies as you're floating the room and offering your help. But you're also going to notice, when they start to fidget and get off task, and you're going to put all those pieces of data together to sort of create a whole picture of what's happening with this little guy, and you'll likely see, or this little gal, and you'll likely begin to start seeing themes and trends across the multiple sources of evidence that you're using to problem solve how to more effectively meet his or her learning needs. Okay, so here in this academic setting, we're using that same skill to identify the trends or the themes, but we're using it with a different source, which is, of course, the academic articles. And what I've modeled for you here is one way to organize your themes across articles using the template. So if we go to the top of the page, you can see that this is really just the, actually we're not going to go up there, but this is the template that we use for organizing our themes. So the key themes that run across the articles were collaborative leadership, different starting points, everybody has different capacity when it comes to improvement planning. Because of that, they need differentiated learning opportunities, collaboratively analyzing student work and other student data. The overarching theme was developing capacity for continuous improvement. And the other theme across most of the articles was relevant learning opportunities. And down here, you can see really quickly just the authors who discussed these themes and the date of their publication. Okay? Now what I want to do is I want us to come down here, and I want to show you how I first sort of backward mapped. So here was the actual assignment as a whole. You had a total of 2 to 2.5 pages for your lit review. So here you have your introductory paragraph. Notice I haven't filled anything out. But what's important here is that each author, because there were 4 authors, the narrative that you produced in which you identified the key findings or the big ideas that that author or those authors discussed has to be half a page or less. And that's the first organizing thing I do when I'm writing a paper. So here, you absolutely, really, you can't, to meet the page length requirements, you can't have more than half a page on any of the authors, which really limits how much you can say. What I've done here is I have modeled for you, modeled for us, how we're going to structure those, identifying those key themes. And what you'll see here is that I start with an introductory sentence in which I discuss the overarching idea, and that's developing capacity for continuous improvement. Each of the articles we read was looking at a different strategy or different strategies for how to increase a school's capacity for improvement planning. What I've modeled here is how to actually cite them. When you cite more than one article at a time, it needs to be done alphabetically. So notice we've got Hellinger and Heck, Little, Stoll-Woodall, and Timperley. Okay? Because I haven't taken direct quotes from these articles, there are no page numbers. The only time you use a page number is when you use a direct quote. So here's where the overarching idea is introduced. Here's where I identify each of the strategies that was used or discussed in the various articles. And I did not identify all the themes, I just worked on identifying what I saw as the key themes. And just a small, 3 or 4 of them, okay? The first thing they did is they said every school has its own starting point, and people in schools have different starting points. Thus, you have to have differentiated learning opportunities. So notice here, right here, different starting points. First, the overarching idea, then we discuss this, okay? What I'd like to see you guys do with this paragraph that I've produced is I'd like to see you paraphrase it into your own words. Don't just copy it and paste it and put it into your lit review. Make it your own. And if you saw other themes in the literature, make sure to address those, okay? But what I have modeled here is how to, number one, identify the themes using the template, and here, how to strategize how much content you can produce for each article in order to make the page limit, and here, how to produce a narrative in which you identify the themes across the various articles. There's one other thing I want to do before we end this video. What I want to do is take us to the final paper template that you all have. And I want us to revisit it so that we can see how the various pieces fit together to produce the whole. Okay? Your lit review will go here under your level 1 heading that says lit review. Notice there's a running head already inserted. This is the title for the paper. Go ahead and paraphrase that. This is a level 1 heading. Here is your introductory paragraph. After your lit review, you're going to talk about how you collected your data. And first thing you're going to talk about is your site. The other thing I'd like to suggest here is that when you actually turn in your final paper, make sure that these little parentheses that say level 2 and level 1 headings are gone. Under this subheading, this level 2 heading that says the site, just 2 to 3 paragraphs describe your school demographics your leadership structure, and your role in the school. Data collection, I'm thinking you guys are really just going to have one paragraph. I met with how many colleagues for X amount of time in such and such a location. We discussed each question and came to a consensus on how our school was ranked. Data analysis, again, I'm thinking you're just going to have one paragraph. After I met with my colleagues, or while I was meeting with my colleagues, we collaboratively ranked our school's leadership capacity. I reflected on the evidence we needed to support our rankings, and I generated one specific example of practice from my school's leadership practices and structures for each question on the survey. That's all you need to do right here. Findings are what you guys are working on this week. So you sat down with your colleagues, you ranked your school on those 3 items in the survey that you've got. Here, I give you the structure for producing your findings and a sample on how to write it up. This will likely be your longest section, okay? The final section for your paper, outside of identifying your references, are the suggestions you make for developing collaborative leadership capacity and cultivating a professional learning culture in my school, something like that, okay? But this is where you will anchor your discussion to the course readings, the findings from your self-assessment, and the Kentucky leadership spheres that you identified. It was either in week 1 or week 2. Okay, what is it your school does well? What are the things your school needs to do to move on to the next level of developing its capacity for continuous improvement planning? And this here just needs to be 2 to 2.5 pages long. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? Where you're putting it all together to create a document that could be used to inform a CSIT plan or help focus the discussions in your professional learning communities, whatever it is you guys need to do for evidence-based improvement planning. I think the other thing I want to say about this course in particular is that it is designed to introduce you guys to the big concepts that are going to be taught throughout the program. This course also introduces you to the academic skills you're going to need. And I just want you to hold that thought as you're going through. There is actually a purpose to each of the assignments we're giving you and to the key concepts that you're being introduced to in this course. And we developed this course based on feedback that we've gotten from several people working at the superintendent's level, the district level, and talking to various principals in regards to what they think the skills they'd like to see their teacher leaders develop. So with that in mind, I hope this gives you guys sort of the next step you need to sort of break down the assignment. You'll have a chance to rework your lit review for the final paper. And this is a skill you will use in other courses throughout the program. And you will get better at it the more you do it. So please remember, I'm just an email away. You've got my office phone number. If there's any reason why you need to get in touch with me, please just either send me an email or call my office. All right? Take care, and I think that's about it for this video.